Hello, Graphite Knights. In this video, we are going to be making the front cover for issue 1 or chapter 1 of the Graphknight graphic novel that I'm working on. So with that, let's get into it. We've got a pretty big page to cover today. This page, although we're drawing digitally, is scaled to be about 6 inches by 9 inches. So if you're drawing with a piece of paper and you want to use the full piece of paper, you'll have a great idea of what this is like. Okay, to start, I'm doing his head. Just going to have him kind of seated, looking sideways. He's not quite facing us, but we get to watch him. He's going to be looking at his lady, the fairy, Kigara, and she's going to be floating in his hand. And so we've got to have him kind of positioned here, seated in the grass, excuse me. And behind him we'll have a kind of a broken down pillar. And my thinking here in this is, at the beginning of the book, at the beginning of the story, he's exploring the ruins of Lentok. He's looking for the dragon Bagrock. He ends up discovering some other foul secrets there as well as he does that. But the beginning of the story is very much about him searching through the ruins and surviving the ruins. And so I wanted to highlight that here in our cover in a way that still served as like an introduction to the character and the story, because we're very much getting to meet these characters and see what they're about here for the first time. And so I wanted it to read well, the cover, and say like, hey, here's the character, here's what they're about, the fairy that he's with, the knight that she's with, this is them, this is what they look like, this is kind of the world they live in. But at the same time, there's a whole bunch of story untold, and we've just landed on this kind of patch of grass that is the ruins of Lentok. And we're going to dive in deeper, and the world is going to be filled out more. And if you don't know, the story is written such a way, the Graphknight is literally a knight born from graphite. He is a character that exists inside a storybook, and this is the beginning of that storybook. And so he has certain pieces of backstory, but that's about it. And he's trying to see this world, understand his part in it, play his part in it, and even craft some of the world. He is graphite born, which they take to be significant in his world, in Jar-nel 1. And so, there's a lot of misunderstandings, true understandings, and hoped understandings of what that could mean for them and what they can create being born of graphite, which is what the whole world is made of, and which is what the storyteller, Benji, myself, uses to create that world. And so, yeah, he's got an adventure to be had. He knows he's after this dragon. Kigara knows she's with him the whole way, which is cool that they have each other's backs like that. And it's exciting to see the story fleshed out. You will see pieces of it if you're on my channel a lot get posted. I like to, especially in my shorts, do little stories with them. And so none of those are canonized until the book comes out. When the books come out, what you read on physical paper or published digital paper, that is canon to their world. But what you see in the short stories that I do, or these are all me kind of telling you where I'm at in my notes, letting you guys speak into the world. If you guys have fun ideas, I'm absolutely down for that. I love that. Okay, we've got his main body kind of crafted out. We're working on some hand placement, trying to think through where he needs to be holding his grip so that it looks like he's going to be looking at Lady Fairy here. And I think that's going along well. Hands are always kind of funny. They say, oh, you can tell it's AI by the hands because the hands are all messy. But the joke is that artists notoriously hate drawing hands. AI is probably bad at it because the artists that it's pulling from aren't good at it. I don't mean that rudely. I mean, I think we're there's a whole community of people who draw hands really well, and it's just one of those things that's just man, we communicate so much, I think, through our head and our hands. I think more than we do through the rest of our body. And if you got a hand that looks slightly off or a face that looks slightly off, it's notable. It's notable. And so, there's a little bit of that goes on with hands. There's a little bit of dread with them, a little bit of desire to kind of hide them away. But people look for hands, I think, in their pictures. They look to see kind of what the character's up to. And I do think, again, like I said, that hands are a great way to know. Go ahead and open up a comic at some point, or even as you look at this picture, where are your eyes firstly drawn to? The whole thing will hopefully be beautiful in the end, but we observe his head, our eyes kind of follow his line of sight, and it draws us to that hand. And I think the hands, too, also communicate. So we do have one kind of tucked away behind the knee, but we might be curious about that. Is it holding anything? Is it doing anything? It can reveal a lot to us. But then the second hand, the way we position it, it's also going to be revealing a lot to us about his intentions. The fact that it's an open palm facing upward for where Lady Kigara will be, I think shows that he's kind of cradling her. He wants to take care of her. He wants to see her. He wants to know her, and like they're very much a team. He could be like a closed, clenched fist, in which case you might think, oh, maybe he's annoyed with her or angry. He could swat, or he could cross his fingers, or he could be holding a knife, or so many other things that would communicate so much to us. But instead, he's ready to receive her. Okay, now we're going to start the shading. So I gave him a block gray color. It's kind of his standard color. And then we're going to high contrast this bad boy because fantasy looks good high contrast, metal looks good high contrast, and he is both. And so we want lots of like near blacks to just very dark grays, and then we're going to add some high light white contrasts as well. The background itself is going to be white, and I think it'd be really fun to have him almost disappearing into that at different points, to just show that the light is like casting down, especially I'm thinking like the top of his head, just where his silhouette hits. If you've ever seen something on a really sunny day, you can almost, even if a light is behind them, start to lose their form to the light. Like it almost like curves around the bend and eats up the character sometimes just a little bit. And so we have the opportunity to do something like that here. We won't lose our knight. We still want him to be the focus, but just, show that he is indeed shining. The pillar that's behind him, that we might let get eaten up a lot more, because we want that pillar, we're going to kind of tilt it to the same way his eyes are leaning, just, so that it pushes towards his hand, which then pushes towards Lady Kigara. The whole thing should kind of read with a nice smooth loop, and so there's never a point, hopefully, when we're looking at this thing and we feel like it encourages us to look away and away from our comic. We want us to be able to enjoy it without, having to fight to look at it. And so we'll have that in the background there, but it'll be a little softer, a little more drained by the light. We are going to have two other light sources, and they're going to be a little bit more intense than I usually draw them, but I think this is a great place to do this. We have the chance to do like a full scale, high detailed, high res picture. And in comics, it's so interesting because so much of what you get to share in a book via like detailed description, you have to show visually, you get to show visually, and there's great strengths in that, but you have to kind of give yourself permission to intentionally break the rules. There's like really good things about that. And so usually she doesn't cast off a pink glow beyond herself. Usually his mask doesn't cast off a blue glow beyond itself. But adding those light sources into this picture, in this instance, I think is really going to add to it, show the connectivity of the characters in a fun way, and just bring it to life. I'm going to repeat kind of what I did with the steps here for this pillar. I am, like I said, going to drown it out more. We'll put some like fun colors throughout, maybe some blue sketch marks on it, just to give it some kind of pattern, something to get us to see, what is this? What are these almost kind of runic looking things? Nothing to distract us. Again, we want it to be kind of faint and in the background, and it's happy and allowed to exist with us. We want it to be like filling in our story. We just don't want it to be taking away from our characters. And so even the way I'm positioning, you can see I want to drive it down through his eyesight so that the pillar is driving us back to the character, and then to the characters, and then ultimately to Kigara here. The story is called Graphknight after our principal character, the Graphknight. And this is my first time having made the front cover, and so we're going to kind of set that right, get to play with it a little bit. And that's really fun. We want this to read like it's issue 1 because, of course, it is issue 1. And then we want to make sure I put my name in the bottom. Guys, this is what it's looking like. Let me know if you guys want me to. I'll try and release issue 1 as its own individual episode. Otherwise, like a comic. Otherwise, what I'll plan to do is have a digital release of it at some point in the future, or we'll just include it in the graphic novel, which of course it will be there. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.